What if you've been lied to about spirituality? Escaping this planet won't save you, and it might just ruin your life. If you've been told that escaping this planet, activating your Kundalini, and rejecting wealth will lead you to enlightenment, then you've been told dangerous lies. Let me explain. I just had a refreshing session with a new client who indulged and delighted me in questions about this simulation and metaphysics. We got into a very engrossing conversation around the prison planet and the simulation. Now, this is an interesting topic because a lot of us who are seeking for the truth believe that we're trapped in a simulation, and the only way to get out is to fully understand your sovereignty and to know when it's time to exit. A lot of us believe that we have to exit this body. We need to escape to pull us back to where it is that we're actually from in a grander experience and a bigger spirit essence, if you will. Now, I do agree that there will come a point after the epic battle that we're here for when it's an important time to strategically exit the simulation. But there's a difference between abandoning the simulation and abandoning your mother. The hunt for answers in those who are waking up to the idea that this isn't their true essence and home, that what they're experiencing might not be natural or organic, is bringing in a lot of anxiety and pushing a lot of people to find answers. But I want to challenge you with this effort because it's common knowledge in the metaphysical community that when you start waking up and getting voracious for information, you go down this rabbit hole seeking and searching. And the further you go down looking for the information, the further away from your inner truth you're going to get, which is exactly what I term generally the controllers want you to do. Because when you're searching and seeking and you're fervently trying to find and understand information and decipher what's what, and you're not sure and you're getting skeptical, this anxiety, this tension is the state that the controllers and the energies want you in. They don't care what it is you're focused on. They don't really care that you're trying to get information about who they are and what they're doing. They just want your essence. So if you're in a panic state, if you're angry and triggered about what's happening, and if you're rejecting your everyday life, then this gives them the perfect access into your energy because you're not in your sovereignty and truth. You're not standing firm in your safety and comfort, your neutrality. So they can hook right in and access your energy. Another issue I take with this idea is that we deem this a prison planet in a lot of groupings, but you should know by now, if you perceive that you're a bigger being, and while you may be currently ensnared in the incarnation loop, you're also here as an insurgent. You've been strategically placed as a silent spy, just waiting for the time when you need to rise up and take action to defend not only your people, not only your spirit essence, but most importantly, your mother. This planet has been a nursery, a mother to so many different varieties and species throughout eons. She has given herself completely to us. She's still here. Her essence is within us. And even if she's overlaid with a simulation and mocked up by the simulation, we still experience her and hold her inside of our essence. We take her with us wherever we go. It's not for us to abandon her. It's for us to bring her with us when it's time to leave what's not really even her anyway and go back to her true essence. So remember, there's nothing wrong with Mother Earth and the planet. She is not the simulation. And you still have connection to her essence and her truth. Her deep love is what's given you the ability to exist as an organic sentient being. It's not her problem, so to speak, that the simulation is mocking up her essence and tricking us about. It's important for you to stay clear who you have fealty and loyalty to. And another thing about escaping is what a wonderful plan B. If these entities are getting those that know they're bigger beings, know that they have a more important purpose for the reasoning behind all of this experience, for them to want to escape and abandon their posts. So when the time comes, when they're supposed to be the front line holding strong, they're nowhere to be found, which makes it a lot easier for these beings and controllers to take what they want, like a free-for-all. A time will come when, yes, it will be important for us to know how and when to exit the simulation. But it won't be before we came to do our job and we're here till the end through and through. We're going to leave in a critical mass at a very specific point, and there's no need to worry about when it's going to be or how it's going to be, because no one can truly know. So you might as well accept that you've chosen in a certain way to be here. Simultaneously, you've been ensnared here because you're a multidimensional being and everything is happening all at once. But you're strong, you're resilient, you're courageous, and you're brave. And your sovereignty is what they want most from you. Your true essence and you knowing how to stay anchored in your now moment and your presence is the one thing that they can't take away from you unless you give it up freely. And when you're seeking outside of yourself and trying to leave and escape and abandon and go away and disassociate, then you're just giving it all right away freely, even though you think you're doing the opposite. Now, another topic that brings a lot of controversy, which is a myth that I think is very dangerous, is Kundalini. Kundalini is offered to the West through ancient Eastern Indian mysticism. And Kundalini is the understanding of the life force energy within our body, enclosed in the root chakra energy center at the base of the perineum, where the spiraled energy is sitting dormant until you awaken it and allow it to move through your chakra system and into your electromagnetic field. Now, my problem with Kundalini energy is if I go back to Adam and Eve in our biblical texts, and we look at one of our stories around the warning that Creator gave to Adam and Eve about taking from the tree of life. Creator warned that if you eat from the tree of life, you will lose access to Eden. And I understand also in biblical texts, they would say it's actually the tree of knowledge or the tree of wisdom. But I personally beg to differ. Now, humans tend to take things so literally. If I look at creation stories throughout eons in different cultures all around the world, it's very common for us to see a theme of the tree of life explaining existence, or at least even just our planet or beyond. And if you take an apple, which is the exact shape of the torus field, which is your electromagnetic field that gives you life, without your electromagnetic field, you cannot exist. You will be dead. The serpent representing not only the beings with ill agenda that are serpentinian, but also the life force energy that's curled within your root chakra that you could awaken through a specific line of energy centers so that it's captivated in a very specific channel of energy. If you are to eat from that apple, that torus field, this electromagnetic field, well, then you might be bound into the Ouroboros, which is the serpent eating its own tail. There's no escape. So in essence, what if Creator is telling us, do not eat from your own energy field, which helps allow the tree of life to continue to exist. There is something called Kundalini syndrome in the understanding of Kundalini practices. And this is a very dangerous experience that is fairly common when you spontaneously awaken certain energy centers and this Kundalini life force energy comes shooting up into your body and hits a blockage in any area of your system. And now there's nowhere for this energy to exit. So it starts going in opposite directions, and it can create psychological breakdowns, physiological illness. It can start shifting your body. There's all sorts of things that can happen. It's known that this is a dangerous thing. Hence the reason that it's widely understood that if you're undergoing Kundalini practices, it's very important to work with a professional. But why in any moment would there be a fear of your own energy making yourself sick if it's healthy and natural? See, I perceive that the Kundalini energy is a exploited ritual, so to speak, that gives certain entities permission over your own energy field and domain because you have chosen into the practices that you may not be aware of the agreements with different beings for a very long time through the eons, where they can access your energy field and directly mainline into your frequency through louche practices, which is where they siphon your energy, which is the feed that they require to get the essence because they no longer have direct connection to spirit source. They don't have ever-flowing life force energy. They have a very limited supply, which means they need to continue to power up. And if you're giving access to beings who also hold command over Kundalini practices, then they're able to offer you a euphoria much akin to the false white light, which is like a drug. It can give you a false sense of bliss or empowerment in your body and the surging of this energy, while they're also behind the scenes tapping in and taking what they want and replacing it with euphoric experiences. And then after the fact, you might find yourself tapped out or not being able to experience that same frequency on your own accord because it's not natural and normal to you. Now, I know that this is going to bring about a lot of controversy and probably arguments around this, but this is my perspective of it, both through experiencing it on my own and also helping clients out of dangerous situations where they've had to deal with spontaneous eruptions in their Kundalini. I've also taken witness to how entities are accessing through these practices because a lot of ancient topics, rituals, and spell casting are being accessed by entities who are tuning in and exploiting ancient rituals that have been mocked up and inverted in ways that are not healthy in the origin of what was meant to be happening in the original practices. In the final topic today, I want to talk about money issues. How come so many spiritualists denounce money? And even if they don't say it consciously, they're constantly struggling to make ends meet. Why is that? Why is it that people that believe that they have a higher knowing and understanding, an elevated self of responsibility to creator source, that they would be struggling to simply exist and put food on the table? And in the same way, they may have judgments and bias around people that they deem are very wealthy and have a lot of money. They might deem them as sellouts, or that they've sold their soul, or they don't understand how to honor what is true and valuable because they're only focused on the material. But the problem with this idea is that it's very unbalanced. There's no level-headedness and equality to this. Because the reality is that we exist in a world where we have to exchange monetary value to get what it is that we need and we want. And yeah, I understand barter system and trade. I've utilized it a lot. I utilize it every day. Though the thing that I've noticed specifically, an issue with bartering and trade, is that there's a lack of accountability when it comes to direct trading from individual to individual, because you can't really guarantee that one individual in the agreement of trade is going to honor the integrity and the quality of work that they're offering. They can make a deal with you, receive their trade, and then just bail. Or maybe they're late to show up to what they're supposed to do. Or maybe the quality is just funky. They start exploiting and bleeding the lines. It's very common. At least that's what I've experienced time and time again. And I find that the reasoning behind this, one, has to do with money holds people accountable. First, you have to give something first to get something. So this ensures that the even exchange of energy or monetary value is already agreed upon and offered up. And then you receive what it is that you have paid for. But when it comes to barter and trade, there's an assumption that what it is you've agreed upon is going to exchange evenly, but you can't guarantee that until after the fact. So money as an exchange puts checks and balances into play to ensure that there's fairness and equality in this energetic and monetary exchange for value. Another reason I think that a lot of spiritual people have issue with money is because money is a perfect representation of this material world. And a lot of spiritual people have issues with staying grounded and present and actually honoring the present material, physical existence that they are in and are a part of and made out of to the same level and value that they honor and respect and adore the energetic and spiritual etheric essences. They tend to be more biased towards the ethereal, the out of body, the ideas, the love, the light, what have you. But we've already talked about this in this series before. Our home court advantage is our physical body. It's our emotional body. It's this material world. So take advantage, indulge in it, utilize this material physical world and allow yourself to enjoy what's been given to you because it is a gift. You say you might not want it, but how do you know? When it's gone, are you sure you're going to like where you go? There tends to be a huge martyr complex in the spiritual communities, always overgiving to the detriment of themselves. And I know that this is a problem that stems back many, many lifetimes, but there's a point where you got to give it up. You have to understand your self-value and your self-worth and take responsibility that it's your choice and it's your free will to choose and opt into being a martyr and struggling and suffering in the name of spirituality. That's just masochistic and self-punishment. You can do that with any topic. You can call it in the name of spirituality, in the name of religion, in the name of a 9-to-5, what have you. It's just an idea. It's a way for you to justify that you need to be punished and suffer and struggle more. But this is your own making. If you know and believe that you're a creator being, creating your own manifestation, then how come you're struggling so much with your provisions, your basic needs, and the money that you probably deserve and desire to draw into your life to have a more fulfilling experience? It's all up to you, right? Because you're a creator being. So make it happen. Let go of what's burdening you around being a martyr and not having enough and the deservability, and understand that it's not the creator wants you to suffer or that you're trying to learn some bigger lesson or that in this life you denounced money because it was a higher spiritual pursuit. Fine, if that's how you want to believe, then that's totally up to you. But if you choose that belief system, then it's really irresponsible for you to be complaining and feel unhappy about the choice. It's your own free will. Make it different if you're not fulfilled. Because I don't know about you, but I haven't seen many monks or nuns or those people that have opted into a very devout way of life complaining about their abstinence and what it is that they've given up from. They enjoy the life of solitary confinement. They're happy to be with simplistic experiences in life. They don't complain. They teach on why it's fulfilling for them, and they honor free will. They don't demonize people that opt into wealth and luxury and happiness. They understand it's each individual's choice. So if you've believed any of these lies about spirituality, I invite you, check yourself. Let go of perspectives that aren't serving you and maybe taking away from you in dangerous ways. If you're interested in more, check out the link below.